I'd like to call the Oglesby City Council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Baldridge. Here. Udis.
Here.
McDermott.
Here.
Stefani.
Here.
Kern.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Number 4, public comment on agenda items only. Seeing none, we'll move on. Number 5, approve minutes from September 18th, 2023 City Council meeting. If there's any concerns, questions, or none, I can get a motion to approve.
I have some concerns. I guess my concern is that these are supposed to be, in my opinion, what I've read, is a quick summarization of what transpired during that meeting. This is a bit extensive here. I don't believe that this is how this is supposed to be done. So therefore, I'm going to vote no on that tonight.
Is there something you believe to be inaccurate on them?
Pretty much the entire thing.
The entire thing is inaccurate.
Well,
Do you have any examples?
I believe, I don't really want to get into examples because I don't think this is the time to do that right now here. But I believe this is probably opinionated from one person here. Seems to have a lot of items that focus on one person and probably getting their point out. I don't agree that it's a summarization of what transpired at all.
Again, I'll ask, is there something that you believe that is opinionated or not factual here?
Yeah. I think it's opinionated where your name pops up so many times. There was a 16-minute and 43-second discussion. And I find it just odd how this is written out here. And I think we've had this conversation. I know we've had this conversation before that we shouldn't be going and telling the clerk how to prepare these statements. This should be the clerk's job. This is how she's supposed to do this stuff. She knows how to present it. I don't think that we should be in there strong-arming her or telling her how to do it or giving her examples of what we would like to have put in there. I don't think that's not what this was intended to do.
Are you suggesting that somebody strong-armed the clerk into writing specific opinionated pieces or something?
Yeah.
Okay, could you give me an example of anything that's opinionated here?
Well, pretty much the whole thing here, I believe, is opinionated. I think that if she were actually doing this in an unbiased way, I don't think that she would have presented this, because it just seems that your name just is like some hero in these things, and I don't understand why.
I feel that way. I can tell you the exact sentences I asked her if she could look at to see. I gave her 4 sentences that I think that were critical, and 3 of them she agreed. One of them was, I asked her to put, Stefanelli thought ordinances the council created them to give the authority, and he thought it was consistent with the state statute. And then I put in there, Attorney Berry stated that he didn't think any ordinances the council passed gave commissioners the sole authority to appoint or discharge employees, but further added, in quotes, I do think you should run this by your labor attorney. Is that opinionated?
Okay,
'Cause that's actually what happened.
here's where I'm going with this. Your board should keep minutes. This is a written record of your decisions. The minutes should say when and where the meeting happens, whether there is a quorum present, who was present, what topics were discussed, and what decisions were made. Be careful not to include personal opinions and detailed discussion in the minutes. This is a common trap for the secretary, and it is a mistake. Minutes should record what is done, not what is said. So as you just stated, you suggested to put in these quotes, and that's not what is intended for.
Well, I thought it was important to have in there, because our city attorney made a statement that he did not believe
Okay.
that commissioners have the sole authority, and that he recommended it to run by the labor attorney.
I personally
And that
feel-
was not in the original minutes.
I
So are you
personally
saying that's
feel it's
opinionated?
important for our city clerk to do the job that we hired her to do.
Okay.
Isn't this
That's what this
the
is
time where
here.
we're supposed to be looking at it? I mean, I think the clerk should be able to write the minutes, and then this is the part where we actually, if we have an item of concern or something that wasn't placed in there, where we could bring it up.
Sure.
I think anybody approaching the clerk before that probably, I just don't think it's a good practice, so.
Well, it's because you want to get the facts out of there.
No, I don't wanna keep.
Point of
no,
order.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay.
we're not having that anymore. That's
Becky,
another
let-
Robert's
let me
Rules
ask
thing. You
a
are not here to
question.
insult
Hey,
or
Becky,
say anything like that.
Has a commissioner ever approached you to change the minutes, yes or no? Okay, has the mayor ever approached you to change the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, I rest my case.
Okay.
It's not that anybody's trying to keep.
There are
facts
6
on it.
types of remarks that cannot be made during a board meeting here, according to Robert's Rules. They are inappropriate because they are not germane relevant. They are personal remarks, insulting language, attacks, vulgarity or obscenity, inflammatory language, criticizing a number of members' motives, criticizing past actions of the board. I believe you did at least 2 right there.
Didn't you say I strong-armed somebody? Is that an opinion?
That's my opinion of that.
I think the mayor walking into the clerk's office and having her change minutes prior to
What
this
other
meeting,
words
would
we're
you
we're
use? Look at
supposed to
it.
take it up now.
We have our packets on Friday. I looked at the packet, I read over the minutes, and there's at least several facts that I thought were relevant that were not in there. So you also stated that this thing is full of opinions. Could you give me one opinion in here? What I read you was facts.
Okay. Let's see.
All I gotta say about this is that the clerk should write the minutes. Nobody should be telling her what to put in. When they get to us, at this time is when we actually talk about it. If there's something else that was failed to be put in there, that's the time where it should come up. This practice of
I
going in and out of
agree, that's unilateral, Jason, it really is, to change
the
the.
practice
Yeah.
on any of our
It
parts.
shouldn't be.
I put myself on the spot. If I walked into her office and said, Becky, I want you to put this quote in there of mine, I think it's unfair. It's unfair to her, it's unfair to this council. I think if I felt that strongly about it, I'd bring it up right now and say, hey, we're approving the minutes. I think I said this, and I feel that it's relevant and it should be in there. I think if I go in there before the fact, it's almost like I'm trying to bias her, and then somebody else follows in behind me, and then we have to do this, and then the clerk can't get nothing done because she's too busy trying to play this minutes game. So I just think we have to figure out a better way of doing that. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. And I'll ask again, is there anything in there you think that is not factual?
That's not.
I don't think that's
not
the question
point.
at hand.
That's not the point. It doesn't matter. It's the whole going in there and saying, you need to put this, you need to put that, and it's almost
I didn't say it like that.
micromanaging in a way.
See, now you're adding words. I never said that. I said, I looked at this and says, do you think that these things that happened at the meeting are in the minutes?
Even if it's well-intentioned, it doesn't matter. It should happen here. This is the time where it would be appropriate to do it. You know what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying.
Well,
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Again, okay, so is there any other discussion on the minutes?
No.
Okay, I mean, if there's something that was infactual, I'd be happy to strike something from them.
It's not
I would say if
unfactual.
there's something that Commissioner Baldridge wants to add in there,
there
he
something
should
you'd
have
like
the
added?
opportunity to do it
No,
at
I
this
just feel
point.
that there's an intent here, and I don't think that it's needed. I don't see something like this needed to be,
Remember, the
Put
the
out.
minutes are not a debate. The minutes are
I
a
agree.
recollection of what happened.
I just
I
read what it
think-
But
is.
it shouldn't be
Under
from one
Robert's
person's
rules,
eyes,
it is.
Jason, as far as how the whole thing went
I
down.
mean, it's from
That's-
anybody's.
It's a detailed
It's very
discussion, and
unilateral.
there's no.
When it's from
Yeah.
somebody's eyes, then it has
From
opinions.
yours.
It's not from mine. Attorney Berry stated he
Sure,
didn't
a
think
lot of
any
times.
ordinances the council passed gave commissioners the sole authority to appoint or discharge employees. Is that fact, is that an opinion?
Jason, I could go through all the transcripts of that whole meeting and pick and choose a million different lines I wanted to put in there that I believe to be factual. It doesn't change the fact that it shouldn't just be my vision of what I want for the minutes. It should be our clerk doing that. That makes it, that makes it.
Unbiased.
I think if there's something that's factual that happened that you feel is not adequately recorded in there, I have no problem making sure they're added to them.
And I think this is the time where we do that.
Yeah, I do too.
Corinne said he did not feel that its use during that time was right. That's an opinion.
But it's something I said.
Okay, it was your opinion, and you made sure to include it in our minutes, where I also followed it up with, and I said it is right. So
So-
you didn't put that part in there,
We're
so.
gonna have to get into an English
this is
debate,
a-
and I'm not looking.
I don't
It's
care,
not an
whatever
opinion
you
about
wanna
what
do.
somebody viewed it as. That was a stated opinion I gave.
Okay. And I gave a stated opinion after that. Why would that not be included?
Do you want it, whatever it is, do you want it
No, I
included?
don't, because it's not that's not what the intent of this document is. It's not to do that.
Okay.
We're not gonna go through and put all this stuff in there like that.
All right, any additions, modifications? In that case, I'll look for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Baldridge,
No.
Udis,
No.
McDermott,
No,
Stefani,
No.
Kern.
Yes. So what happens now if we don't approve on minutes? What minutes do you want to approve from the meeting?
She has to go back to the drawing board, bring them back the next meeting, and now we go at it again.
Okay.
Becky, do you know what part was added and what wasn't? Do you have?
Honestly, I did not keep,
I have it for you.
yeah, I'm sure Jason does.
I have the
didn't-
original one
I
anyways.
typed over. So,
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Let's get there.
All right, moving on. Number 6. Approved minutes from the September 5th, 2023 executive session. My understanding is we don't necessarily have these yet, so we're going to table, is that correct?
The minutes aren't ready. She hasn't finished typing them, because it's executive session. It's not crucial, so I would make a motion to table.
And I will second that motion.
Roll call, please.
Aldridge,
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 7, approved bills as presented for payment in the amount of $132,451.39. Any questions, concerns about the bills? If not, if I can get a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Aldridge,
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 8, approve September 29th, 2023 payroll in the amount of $145,321.91. Any questions, concerns, modifications, or if not, if I can get a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call, please.
Aldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 9, approve ordinance number 1237-100223, amends burn ban ordinance. This is an item that we talked about at length for a little bit over the last couple meetings. We finally got it all put together. Does anybody want to talk about it or discuss it at all or anything? Anything else?
We've talked about it last couple of meetings.
Okay.
I think.
Just for some clarity, what it is it's keeping respect to the same Monday wash day. So Monday is the only day that there's no burning of any kind. Every day besides Monday is, you can have recreational fires. And if I believe it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that you can still do your burning of yard waste. So we've restricted that by a few days. They have extended the time, so instead of it ending at 4, it goes till 6 p.m. So what that basically means is it should reduce the number of days that people are burning yard waste. So it should get a higher quality air.
I think the last part of it is it
Oh.
outlaws burn barrels as well.
That is correct. Thank you,
It does
Commissioners.
outlaw burn barrels.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I add
Well, that-
something in?
That was added.
I just want to mention that our waste management company does pick up yard waste, so for anybody that feels the need that they're burning it, to not put it in the can, if you put it in a bag and put it next to the can, the waste management company will pick it up, so just a reminder.
And as a reminder, one of the things that changed over the last couple months is we're no longer require tags.
No
for-
tags,
Yep.
correct.
So I feel like we've done a lot of things over the years to really reduce the need. I mean, we have leaf pickup for over a month. We do the chipping twice a year at least. So there's a lot of good things out of this. I think it should help the air quality and stuff like that. Any other questions on it? If not, we can take a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve ordinance number 12371000223, amends the burn ban ordinance.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Aldridge,
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 10, approve the purchase of a transformer for $27,000. Commissioner Baldridge, you want to talk about
As many
this?
people are aware, our electrical grid in town is pretty old. We're looking here to replace a transformer that we have currently sitting in the lot because we're going to use that sometime next week here. There's about a 6 to 10 week wait time on those. So we're hoping to go ahead and get this ordered so that we do have them in case there is an emergency.
Any questions on that? Want to take a motion to approve?
Something we need.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of a transformer for $27,000.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Aldridge,
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. All right, number 11 and 12 are both from, we put these on file last week. Number 11 is approved bids for Clark Street Sewer Separation Project. And also as a reminder, we did get $200,000 of AARP funds from the ARPA funds, I'm sorry. AARP.
Already, huh?
AARP?
ARPA funds from the county on that. Commissioner McDermott, do you want to speak to this at all?
Well, we got bids and looks like we're going for one and we're all set to go.
Okay.
Get this going, get these streets and sewers done up right, okay? It's a good thing.
Yep.
All right. If there's no other questions, can we get a motion to approve?
I would like to approve bids for Clark Street Sewer Separation Project.
Second.
We have clarification on whose bid we're accepting and at what amount.
I didn't see the sheet in there. My understanding, it is the lowest bids, I believe. Is that, oh, you have it right here.
Gillen Construction.
Gillen Construction's the lowest bidder.
Yeah, it would be Gillen Construction LLC.
Did we get a second?
Commissioner
Rich,
Baldridge,
yeah.
seconded.
Yeah, seconded.
Yep, I can get roll call then.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Stefani.
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 12, approve bids for the Clark Street and Hickory Avenue Culvert Replacement Project. So this is one that we started quite a while ago to try to get this going. I think, matter of fact, we approved the motor fuel tax resolution on it quite a while ago, but due to environmental studies and everything, it kind of held us up for a bit.
Okay, we have bids for that. Gillen Construction LLC was also the winning bid for this, and I will approve if there's no more discussions. I mean, it's give me guys, we need this. I will approve the bids for Clark Street and Hickory Avenue Culvert Replacement Project.
That's a motion. A motion.
Second.
Second, okay. Roll call, please.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Stefani.
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 13, place on file ordinance number 1238-101623, which approves the termination of TIF 1. So our TIF 1 has ended. This is, got informed by Klein, our TIF attorney, that basically we have a requirement that we have to put an ordinance out there notifying everybody that the TIF has ended and the funds will be closing at the end of the year. Is there any questions, concerns on that? In that case, if I can get a motion to approve, or, sorry, place on file.
The TIF one, it's going to, roll over to 6.
So-
Anything left over, correct?
Correct. TIF 1 has ended. The account has still been left open. We did resolutions for the last 2 years to hold it over. We have until December 31st to use those funds. Whatever funds do not get used for TIF 1 will roll into, I think the word is contiguous, but they'll roll into TIF 6.
And we
Thank
changed
you.
TIF 6 to encompass the commercial
That's
district,
the,
correct?
that's the next item
Okay.
to start that process.
Okay.
Well,
I'll make a motion, we place on file ordinance number 12381011623.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Stefani.
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 14, place on file ordinance number 1239-101623, professional service agreement for the First Amendment to TIF District 6. So what this is as we talked about in the past, I think it was a meeting or two ago, Herb Klein came up with the idea that we could modify, there's lots of different things we could do. We could completely ignore TIF 1 when it goes away, and that means we're not gonna be able to use any kind of TIF funds to update them. We'd have to pay out of the general fund if we wanted to update those. The other option is to create a whole new one, which is a TIF 7, which is problematic. It's a lot more difficult to get all the taxing bodies to buy off on that. Or the other option is, because there's still 19 years left on TIF 6, and then there is funds already in it, that we could add the commercial area entities of TIF 1. Now, keep in mind, most of TIF 1's increment came from the residential areas. They wouldn't be included at all. This would just be like our downtown commercial districts and stuff. It would allow us another 19 years of being able to use funds to help improve downtown areas and stuff like that. The only drawback to this is you don't get the full 25 years out of the TIF. We'd only get 19 out of it. But it's a lot easier to get that signed off on. Any questions, concerns on that at all?
So when you say the commercial district, we're talking about Walnut Street
In Columbia.
from, let's say, Lehigh down the interstate, and then Columbia from, like, what area? And I'm just asking, it's not a trick question, I'm
No,
just
no,
asking so
it'd be
that
the commercially
residents can-
district zoned of Columbia and Walnut Street. If you look at what was in the TIF before, it was significantly more. It did have all of that stuff in there, but it also had a significant portion of residential areas as well. So just the commercial zones.
Okay.
Any questions, concerns on that? And this just starts the process. We're not approving it necessarily tonight, but we need to get something on file to be able to get the Herb Klein to, Becky, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a lot of work that has to get done with like recording the lots and all that kind of stuff that's
Or I
affected.
will need a legal description written, which
Yeah.
is probably gonna take some time.
The good news is most of that should already be done because it already exists from the TIF one that we approved, but obviously it won't be all of the ones from TIF one because we're excluding all the residential lots.
Yeah, so that'd be different, because you're just doing commercial.
Yeah, but we need to get this going now if we want to have it in place before the end of the year.
All right. I'll make a motion that we place on file ordinance number 1239-101623, professional services agreement for the First Amendment to TIF District 6.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Stefani.
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 15, resolution dash 100223, agreement with NCICG for Strong Communities Grant Administration. So this was a grant that we received several weeks ago for $210,000. It's very similar to the grants that we've used in the past to fix some of the blighted properties or to remove some of the buildings. It's a bigger amount and there's a few more options that we can do with it. So this is basically just sets NCICG as the administrators for the grant, which can be paid out of the grant as well. So, any questions, concerns on that?
I have a question. I'm looking at 3 where it says reporting. The last sentence says the council will render reports either oral or written at the request of the city concerning the council's activities and program progress to either the city council or other groups. What does other groups mean?
It's a good question.
Who are we referring to when we say other groups?
I don't know offhand what that is. I don't want to guess. I could guess that might be.
I don't want you to guess either.
I
I'm just
don't know.
I'm just bringing it up because it's a fair
Yeah.
question.
I don't know.
It's nothing that would keep me from approving the intent of the agreement. I just, you know,
Which number did you see that on?
3, reporting. You know, it's, if you read, it says where the city desires to engage the council up top in the whereas language, so they're referring to themselves as council. And then when it says other groups down there, that's all I'm wondering is that other entities within the city? So let's say like a board or a planning commission or something
I'm
like
pretty
that?
confident, again, I can't say for certain, but I'm pretty confident what that's referring to is when we have these grants, we have required, like the lead line inventory grant. We have updates that we're required to provide them to the agency, what if it's a state agency or whoever it is. I believe that's what they're referring to, but we can verify that if that's the concern of what that means.
Well, should we verify that before we approve it,
Is
or
this time critical?
that's what I'm wanting to know?
I don't know the time frame on reporting criteria. We just got it awarded.
Can it wait till the 16th? Can we table it to the
Let's-
next meeting and just verify that? I mean,
Let's
I don't wanna
table it.
hold anything up, but I'm just saying, I mean, I think it's a fair question that,
Okay.
you know, the city council or other groups, I just kinda wanna get an idea of who we're talking about when
Okay.
we say other groups.
Well,
That
we
we're
can
signing
table it.
something legal, so.
No, we can ask that question. As far as I know, I don't think we're under this one just got awarded. The lead line inventory one was the one that we needed to get reports moving on and things like that.
Well,
We
then,
don't have a plan in place on how to address those properties yet, so I'm sure that
Yep.
2 weeks is not gonna make a difference.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Is everybody else okay with that?
I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to table then.
I second that motion. Absolutely.
Roll call, please.
Let's get it correct.
Aldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Stefani.
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 16, discuss possible contract with Design Workshop for grant finding assistance. So this is something we have to talk about in open session, so we were looking for trying to get a economic developer. So we looked for an economic developer for a bit. We found somebody that we thought was really good, but one of the things that we quickly realized is it's very difficult to get somebody with those skill sets that you need for such a small city because they have a lot of wealth of knowledge and it's very tough to get somebody for that. So one of the things that kind of got referred to is where this individual works is that we could possibly go into a contract agreement with them. This design workshop does a lot of things. They do a lot of urban planning, they do a lot of grant administration, they do a lot of grant finding, And when Commissioner Baldridge and I interviewed the individual, one of the biggest questions we had is talking about grant discovery. Because that's the one thing that, you know, we talked about, we'd see a lot in the newspaper about another small community gets another grant of something, and it's one we never even heard of. We didn't even know about it. So we really need some kind of agency that's out there looking for all the different departmental needs for what kind of grants exist. So this is just one option here. We did get it wasn't a contract, but we did get a proposal back. I shared it with the council. There is a wide range of services that they provide. The most important service, as far as I'm concerned right now, is grant discovery. So the new piece of information that I just got today was all the different rates that they charge. The person that is paid at the rate of $65 an hour, that is the one that's predominantly doing the grant discovery work. So this right now is just a discussion until we get an agreement, but I kind of wanted to get the idea, if you want me to continue to pursue that, or if there's more questions you would like to ask about that. We can also cap it for how much per month that we can put into this. I think it's worthwhile because even if we spent $5,000 a month, that's $60,000 a year. And if I remember right, one of the questions we had is, what do they think about being able to get grants and grant discovery? And they seem to think that several $100,000 worth of grants is a very easy thing to be able to obtain. So I would love to pursue this, and because right now it's very difficult for us to find a economic developer, but even if we did it for a year, we can always reassess to see what kind of grants and opportunities come out of it. Any questions, concerns?
Not opposed to this at all, Jason. I think it would be good for the city. However, I was talking to Becky this morning in her office, and there might be somebody else who could act in that capacity that we could almost hire on more of a regular basis. I'm not sure she's available, but she has done this kind of work in the past. Could you get together with Becky and just see what avenue
We
is?
could do that. Was she
Is
somebody
best
that,
to
was
explore.
she somebody that applied?
I think it might take a phone call. Is that correct, if we wanted to pursue that?
Okay.
It's worth the attempt.
It is.
It's worth looking into.
Wish I knew about that before tonight, but but
My,
that's okay.
my thought on it is I do like the idea of it. I do think it would be helpful. I do like the person that was interviewed. I think they're definitely qualified and capable. The only thing that I worry about from my seat here is the money factor, which we'll talk about later on tonight. You know, I just want us to be a little conscientious about how we're gonna go with money, because there's a lot of needs that are gonna come up. Some of them we're gonna address tonight, and some of them are yet to come. So I just want us all to kinda keep that on our radar as far as, you know, our wants versus our needs. I just wanna be responsible, that's all. It's taxpayer money, and, you know, we have an obligation to be good stewards of it, so.
Yeah, when it comes to, so if you go to the larger cities, they'll have a full-time employee that does economic development. It's very difficult for us to justify the ability to get a full-time employee for economic development. However, it's very difficult to find that skill set in somebody that wants to do part-time work as well. I do think that if we utilize this right, obviously there's a lot of things the economic developer can help do, bringing businesses in, doing stuff like that. But the biggest thing that we need right now is somebody to help us find the grants out there that we don't know about.
Well, I know, NCICG, they've been helping me get grants. I'm not sure how much they charge per grant.
So they do a great job at administering grants and applying for the grants that we do apply for. The one thing that's challenging for them is they have their bucket of grants that they tend to work with a lot for state grants. There is so many other types of grants out there that you almost need a separate entity or dedicated individual in the city that's spending time, like hours every day, running those to ground to find out when they are.
Just looking for open grants that may be available, whether we would want them or not.
I think this is one of the things in the next 2 weeks that, before our next council meeting, we could have conversation with you on one-on-one.
Okay.
And then maybe come back with something, and if we do have a potential candidate that might be interested or willing to help us out, we can kinda, you know, see where that goes and see what that brings about, because I don't think this is a time crucial one either. I think if we go another 2 weeks, it's not gonna necessarily hurt us in any way. It's not like we're gonna miss on anything.
I would agree that we're probably not gonna miss anything in 2 weeks, but I do think it is something that's time crucial because there's already so many grants that we've missed out on. So it's not something I'd like to drag my feet on for another several months, 'cause we're
No,
already
but
in-
if we have a candidate, I'm pretty sure you're gonna wanna talk to somebody,
Oh,
so.
absolutely.
I
You
mean,
know,
I think if we make official action on this tonight, then we may have missed the chance with somebody who have been well-suited and possibly provide the same service at a lesser cost to the city.
Sure, I was just hoping to be able to discuss it to see if you wanted to pursue asking them for an actual possible contract to look. 'Cause this was just their proposal of stuff, but not an actual contract written out and stuff like that, with putting some stipulations like caps per month and things like that. So, if we wanna hold off a little bit, but I would ask that you think about that option if this other person doesn't pan out.
Would it cost us money to have them draft up a contract to us so that we could see what exactly it would entail and
I can do
possibly-
that.
You know, in the
Go
next 2
forward, yeah.
weeks, if they can provide that, at least we'll have something to really
A
tangible to
base.
talk
Yeah,
about,
put a
because now we
basis
can
on it.
crunch some hard numbers.
Yeah, I wanted to give them the cap. We talked about the cap, but
I like the cap. I think we should do the
Mhm.
cap with a lot of things here, so.
Hey,
Is there any-
Jason, can
Yes.
you email that out to all of us so we can that proposal?
You don't
I
have
never-
it?
I don't have it.
pretty sure I sent it out to everybody to ask for feedback
Maybe I just
on it.
missed it.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it out to you again.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you bet. Okay, any other discussion on that at all? All right, I will follow up with that individual, and we'll go from there. Okay, number 17, request from Oglesby Schools to close a portion of the street for their annual costume parade. This is a letter that Mr. Pillen, the superintendent for OPS 125, sent in, and it is for October 31st. They do it every year. They basically block it off for about an hour and a half, and they have a nice kids' parade. Any questions or concerns about that? All right,
Gotta take care of the kids.
that's right.
Yep.
All right, I'll look for a motion to
I'll
approve.
make a motion that we approve Oglesby Schools to close a portion of the street for their annual costume parade.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Stefani.
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 18, old business. The only item we got under here is the sewer valve reimbursement ordinance. I know we talked about it at the last meeting, and I know there was at least one commissioner that wanted to take some time to assess it and maybe even talk to some residents. Did we get a chance to do that by chance?
No, I think this is something, I like it, it's well-intentioned, but I think this is something for me personally right now, I think we should put on the back burner and kind of get some other things squared away first, so I would move to table this.
All right, anybody else thoughts on it? Because I know I've had two residents come up, two of the residents that were affected by this have come up to me in the last 4 or 5 months and wanted to know where actions were on this. So I'm okay with tabling if we think we have higher priority things to do, but I want to make sure that we're respectful for them because they did have requests for it and we've discussed about it. Is there a time frame that you want to bring it back to talk about, or?
I would say probably, maybe at the beginning of the new year would be a time to revisit. I think right now we have some other things that are coming up that we need to sharpen our pencils here and get ourselves in order. So this is something, I'm glad to help them. I think it's a good program, but right now is just not a good time because
The only
Yeah.
thing I could say is I don't want to see this tabled and not come back.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that? In that case, do we want to make a motion to table it till the beginning of the next year?
yeah, I mean, I think there's no action that's needed on it or anything else, so.
I'll second it. You already had the motion.
I already had the
No.
motion, I already moved to table it.
Well, I want to give a time frame with it too, 'cause-
Okay, that's fine,
so that way,
sure.
that way we'll put it on the agenda again after the new year. then.
No
Sound good?
problem.
All
No
right,
problem.
if I can get a roll call on that, please.
That'll work.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Stefani.
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 19, new business. First one we got here is discuss ordinance introduction and same-day approval options as other municipalities. So, it's no secret, we've had some discussions on things in regards to agendas and how we talk about things and how we want to approve things. Matter of fact, a little while ago, Commissioner Stefanelli made a comment how he thought it was important for us to be able to, if we're going to discuss something, to be able to take action. And one of my concerns was, I want to make sure that if we're going to take action on something, I want to make sure that we have the opportunity for the public to have an opportunity to discuss something. So in Seneca's city code, I thought this was pretty interesting. They have an item that says this, under their ordinance resolution and motions and contracts, they have No ordinance shall be passed on the same day in which it was introduced unless it receives unanimous approval of the council. So when I saw that, I thought that might be something that solves both purposes. So that way it gives any one council member, if they thought something was moving too fast, it would give a council member the opportunity to say no, and it would at least delay it for 2 more weeks. That way, if everybody thought it was something simple and very important and it was a unanimous decision, we could still get it passed. I was curious what people thought about something like that.
Sure, I'll go. I think that's our practice as it is right now, because our attorney said that he isn't drawing up any ordinance unless we give him guidance here and instruct him to do it. So technically, it's a 1-month process to approve an ordinance. One meeting, we have the discussion, there's motions made, there's clarification sometimes asked for by the city attorney, and then the next meeting, 2 weeks later, he comes back with the ordinance. So I think that's the practice that we're actually using.
But what you're looking for is if something was discussing something, it has to be unanimous, correct?
If you were gonna approve it the same night. So this would give us the ability, let's say that, I'm trying to think of something that came up that we thought was so important that we didn't wanna wait another meeting, right?
Wouldn't that be an emergency meeting or something like that?
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
you
I
wouldn't
think
have to-
there'd have to be steps taken.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to do necessarily an emergency meeting then. You'd be able to handle it the same night if everybody thought it was so important.
Wouldn't it run afoul with Open Meetings Act, 48-hour rule?
I think the only way that's a problem is if you're gonna expend money and stuff. Normally ordinances, unless they're spending money for them, if you bring an ordinance up the same night, you could actually adopt it if you wanted to, as long as it doesn't expend money or funds or something like that.
I'm not sure what the Open Meetings Act requires, but under Robert's rules, you are able to suspend the rules and talk about and pass certain objectives at any time, as long as we all agree to open up the Roberts, suspend the rules. So it would be the same as having all of us be in unanimous decision on that, so.
So there's a difference between approving something and just discussing something.
Yeah,
Oh,
2
there is.
people can approve.
So that's why I thought there'd be that. Again, this is just a discussion,
Can
something
you
to think
give an
about.
example of like what you're thinking about, or what it is?
I'm trying to think. I don't have a good example.
Think of one, but it
Maybe.
didn't go through unanimously.
The only one I could think of was one that some people wanted to pass the same night, and I thought it was a good idea to give the public the opportunity, which was like the noise ordinance. The funny thing is, 2 weeks later, nobody came and said anything anyways. So it didn't make a difference, but I thought it was important that we give people the opportunity in case they did. I'm trying to think of a better example of something that would need to be approved on the same night if we thought like there was I can't think, I should have.
I think we give people ample opportunity. I mean, I think it's fair to say there's some that are tuned in and some that'll show up to these meetings. A lot of them, we can take a count. There's a counter on there that tells you how many people are watching the meetings. And if there's something so strongly here that's being discussed that they feel strongly about, they're gonna show up. I mean, we've had people question, that, okay, hey, on a Friday, they see this on the agenda for Monday's meeting and they got questions. Well, guess what? Here, what better way to have your questions answered than to show up, and then you can ask questions live. So I think we offer the opportunity because we have the meeting, we do televise it, so I just don't know, short of going and dragging them out of their house, I don't know what it is that we're looking to do here.
Okay. Any other thoughts on it? Well, just something to think about. If it's something that'd be helpful, that would move us in the right direction, I thought it'd be something that'd be helpful, but just a discussion. Okay? There's no further discussion. Next item is review section 2.03.120, members' rules of the municipal code. Not sure what this is about, but,
That would be me.
okay.
So that is in our municipal code, the format for what the agenda is supposed to look like and what it's supposed to say. I had a question because on, let's see here, it was September 27th, the clerk sent out a preliminary agenda to the council where commissioners' reports was changed to commissioners' updates. So I'm just trying to get an understanding of why the change was made and who made it.
I asked for that. So if you look back for 8 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 5 months ago, they always said commissioner reports. And I don't know what happened to where, at some point in time, it changed to commissioner updates. So I asked if we could go back to the same original format of commissioner reports, because it's really your opportunity to give a report on anything you want for any of your departments or whatever you want to talk about. So that's why that changed.
I'm a stickler for what it says in the text is what we go by, so if it says reports, it should be reports. I just wasn't quite sure on why there was any difference there. I mean, if somebody's giving an update or a report, to me, that's one and the same. I mean, you're saying the same thing.
I think it's different.
Well, how so?
So what I've noticed the last few meetings is, because we talked about what's supposed to be on the agenda, right? I've noticed a couple times that some of the commissioners will take that time to engage the rest of the council bringing up the topic.
Oh, okay. So I did that. That's okay. All right, I
You weren't
think
no, you weren't the only one.
it was the iPads. But I can explain myself. I'd like to explain myself.
Sure.
I could have just went and bought them because they're under the threshold of what requires council approval. What I was trying to do, and just like anything that we've talked about in closed session that I brought up, was I was trying to show respect for this table here and say, okay, hey, I could go purchase these because it's within my authority or my means to do it. But I was just trying to show respect for the council and that, hey, here's what I'm looking at, and I just want to get your opinions. It wasn't like there was any action or anything else that had to necessarily be made on it, but I was just trying to show respect for the council. I wasn't trying to pull a fast one or trying to do anything underhanded.
I didn't say you were.
Well, that's fine, I'm just telling you.
Okay.
So all I'm saying is that if that's a sticking point, then these meetings definitely will not be efficient or effective or anything else. I mean, if I was in the wrong for trying to ask the council members their opinion on the device and what device they preferred, boy, maybe I'm looking at something
Well, I
the
didn't-
wrong way, but.
I didn't
we're-
say I singled you out for anything. There was another one.
No, that's fine. Even if it was somebody else, I'm just saying the principle of it doesn't matter.
There was another one during somebody's report or update, whatever you want to call it, where they asked to change the official meeting date, and we ended up taking a vote on that. And after talking with the city attorney, is we should have never done that, because we actually modified our actual official meeting time to a different time, and it wasn't on the agenda. So we violated Open Meetings Act by doing that, so I
I don't
prefer.
think any of
not
us
to.
are perfect. We made a
No,
mistake,
we
and
made
now
it-
going forward,
Yeah, we
it's-
made a mistake. What were we supposed to do at that point? We found,
It's-
after we moved it, we found out that we did.
that's water under the bridge. I mean,
It is, but that's why I thought, so if there's anything we should actually do, believe it or not, the thing I thought you were gonna bring up is, there is actually no section called old business, it's actually called unfinished business. So if we wanted to be sticklers, we should be changing that one to say unfinished
well,
business.
now is the time for you to place on the table whatever it is that you want to see with that, and the others can place whatever they want on the table for discussion, and if we need to make motions to revise that portion of the municipal code, I'm fine with that. This is the opportunity to do so, because once we're done with this, I do not want to be playing games with this anymore. It seems like every 2 weeks between council meetings, this agenda becomes a fiasco, because we're going back and forth, and that's what led to the whole action, the council action of allowing each commissioner or anybody on this council to place whatever they want on the agenda. If we want to talk about the practice of if somebody puts it on and takes it off, we can discuss that now, but I want to move on after this. I don't want to have 2 weeks of fiasco before October 16th. I want us to come to some resolution and get it done with.
So one of the things we probably should do, speaking about unfinished business, for example, if you look at that section that I don't have it in front of me right now, but the section does have a lot of things in there that, if I remember right, if I look at the bottom, the update is the original code, so that means it existed probably since 1927. It has things in there that we simply don't do anymore. Like, I want to say the building improvement reports is on there. There's about 4 or 5 things that are on there that just simply don't exist. We could update it to be more relevant to what we have here, if that's important to you.
I have it in front of me. Would you like me to read it off? The order of business shall be as follows. Number 1, roll call. Number 2, reading of minutes. Number 3, reports. Number 4, communication from Board of Local Improvements. Number 5, petitions and communications. 6, unfinished business. 7, new business. 8, adjournment. E, Robert's Rules of Order, except when otherwise provided by law, shall govern on all questions of parliamentary procedure at said meetings. F, these rules may be altered, amended, or temporarily suspended at any time by vote of the council. That's what it says in there.
Yeah, so for example, the new business is there, the unfinished business is there, but the reports, if you do it in the order, the reports are at the beginning, which is a little odd. So I'm for if we want to modify that to state what we actually do.
Well, I just think, it seemed like there was some sort of difference of opinion over it, and now's the time to either figure it out or move on, and that's it. We're done with it, because we're not getting anything accomplished when we have to keep revisiting this stuff. And when there is a conflict in those 2 weeks between meetings, you will expect me to put something like this on there, and I will make us talk about it publicly. So I suggest we either get this worked out, or we say we're happy with the current practice and we move on.
Do we want to update that? Because there's obviously items on there that don't exist anymore, or at least reports for stuff. What do you guys think? Do you want to modify it to read closer to what we've been doing the how many years and stuff? And do you want to change, do you want to keep it as old business? Do you want to change it to unfinished business?
I believe it suggests in Robert's rules to keep it unfinished business.
It's unfinished in Robert's rules.
Okay. Do we want to put the other stuff in there where we talk about the reports? Do we want to talk about executive session? Do we want to remove the, what was the one you read? Building improvement, what was it?
Board of Local Improvements.
Local improvements. Do we want to remove that from there? What kind of things would you like to do?
I'm fine with it. The only thing that I'm gonna say about it is that, you know, if I wanna put something on the agenda, and then I say, you know, on Friday or before the 48 hours, hey, you know what? I've got new information. I'm not gonna waste anybody's time. I'm gonna pull this off. I have the right to do that. I'm the one who asked for it. Now, I will say this. If 3 other people come back and request to have that put on the agenda, well, then guess what? The majority of the body
Then it
has
gets
their way on
overruled.
that. That's the right way of doing it. I don't think that should be, you know, gray in any way. That's black or white, in my
Well,
opinion.
technically, the way our ordinance is written, it just takes one person to put anything on the agenda.
But what Tony's saying is if he were to pull it, if he put it on there and he wanted to pull it off, that's his right. But if
Yeah.
3 people say they want that same item on the agenda, Tony can't unilaterally take that off the table.
Then the
Because
will
you
of
have
3
two other
people.
commissioners or the mayor and another
Well, I would think,
commissioner who want it on
I would
there.
think like if Commissioner Stefanelli wants to pull something off, but you want to talk about it, you still have the right to put it back, to put it on, I would think.
I think what they're referring to is your reference that I played a dirty game that day by asking to have that removed from the agenda. What they're trying to get at, that is it's allowable.
I don't think I said
Oh, you did.
something like that would be a dirty game. I did not attack you that was a dirty game
You
to
said,
play.
so what if next time I want to play a dirty
Correct.
little game and I take it off the agenda at 4:30 PM, not allowing you to put it back on the agenda?
Correct.
That's
That's
what you
different than insulting somebody saying what they did.
I took it as an insinuating, but
But this is what I'm getting at, is that, you know, he had asked to put it on the agenda. He had asked to take it off the agenda because he didn't have everything that he needed. He had some other information he was waiting on. And then, when you had brought it up, you brought it up in such a way that you were basically looking to call him out or make an example for taking it off the agenda, and that's not what we should be in the business of doing here. I mean, if it was something, if we're talking about the merits, let's talk about the merits, and 2 people can disagree on it. But if we're just gonna call somebody out because he put it on and took it off, that's not right. So all I'm saying is that if we have an understanding that if Commissioner number 1 puts something on the agenda, and I say, you know what, I want it off, and 3 other commissioners or 2 commissioners and a mayor say, no, you know what, I wanna talk about that, I lose. That's it. It's the will of the majority of the body. That's the
Okay.
way that it should be.
If we do that, there has to be a certain time that you take it off, because. the
Well,
other-
yeah, we
the other
48
two or
hours.
other 3 commissioners need to speak up, well, wait a minute, I need to talk about that.
Yep, and 48 hours is the official. What we originally had agreed to was Wednesdays, the Wednesday before the Monday council meeting, but that's almost impossible because of the way that some of this information comes in, whether it's ordinances or whatever else. So,
it's my understanding as common practice up till now when we made that agreement to try to have it in by Wednesday, you could go up until 4:30 PM. I know there's been a number of things over the years that have been put on that agenda at 4:15, 4:20. I don't think it was a dirty little game. There wasn't any intention for it to be a dirty game. I was not prepared. I apologize for not being prepared, but I didn't think it should have resulted in,
you know what the irony is?
Transaction.
At the end of the day, the item that's in question is basically still in limbo right now because we still have to discuss it and go over legal opinions and everything else. So that's all I'm getting at, is that we're adults. Let's just do this the right way and get past it. In the 2 weeks in between, we don't need theatrics, we don't need this constant back and forth. If there's something that important, we sit up here, we talk about it, lay your argument on the table, argue the merits, don't take shots at people, and that's the end of it. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay. The only thing I wanted to say with that you're talking about, that I wanted to update, was my reason for that was the concern was that something got pulled off the agenda after it was told it was the final agenda. That was my concern. That's what the concern was. That's what it's about. I understand it wasn't posted like that, but that's my point I was getting at.
And I think that's fine in a one-on-one discussion. I don't think that has to be public.
It was referenced numerous times to make it look as if I pulled a dirty little game at the last minute, which was not, that did not happen.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on that? All right. Next up is discuss departmental budgets.
Okay, so I wanted to talk to us about creating budgets within our departments so that we could sharpen the pencil a little bit. When we did the appropriation, right now, we're about 2.5 million in the red with our current appropriation. That was due to the under levying that happened prior to our arrival. Right now, the best thing that I think we could do is start to create a budget there so that we're responsible about it. And if we can sharpen the pencil, I think we'd be doing ourselves a service and the residents a service. We've talked about it, but I still think we're needing to really look at it a little more closely. I'd like to see each of us sit down with our department heads and see where we can kind of proportion these things. We have a lot of different things that are gonna be coming on the plate. Wastewater treatment plants, second feeds. These things are all big ticket items that cost money. I think we're better off prioritizing this and saying, okay, here's what we can do first, and then second, and then third, so that we're responsible about the bank and the pocketbook. I think we should agree on a date for submission of our department budgets, and I think it would help if we implemented a purchase order system where anything over $1,000 amount would require the commissioner having oversight to approve before the expense takes place. I don't think that's micromanaging. I think once we get into spending thousands, the commissioner should at least say, okay, yes, this is a necessary thing, or no, this is something that can wait for right now. So those are my points. Whatever you guys feel.
Well, I do that now.
Couple things to add on that. One, something you said, I just want to make sure people aren't freaking out when you said the 2 million in the red. We're not 2 million in the red. That is the appropriations but that is every year. That is a problem. What he's referring to is when we appropriate money, we approve appropriations ordinance, and that appropriations ordinance has significantly more appropriated than what we spend, and so it looks but this is every year. Every year it's 2.5 million in the red. That is a problem. It's one of the problems with appropriations ordinances is it gives commissioners and departments, if everybody were to spend the maximum amount that they're appropriated and allowed to spend, the city would be 2.5 million in the red, which is a problem. So we have talked about this in the past. We'd have to change our kind of our system if you're gonna actually hold people to it. There is a purchasing policy that we have. Right now, the purchasing policy is they're not departments are not allowed to go over 5,000 on any purchase without a commissioner's approval. But the purchasing policy is not very specific. It does give the commissioners the ability to restrict that on their own authority within their departments. But, so if you're talking, you wanna put it in an ordinance that gives it that power, but right now you technically already have that.
I'd like to hear the other commissioners' opinions on it, because I think, if we're talking about spending in the thousands, I think the commissioner should probably, and all of us are hands-on here, we're all in touch with our departments. I think that's something I would wanna know about, so whatever you guys feel, again, this is where I'm trying to open it up for discussion and get a vibe from the council here on what you guys feel about it.
My thought is, I think it's a great idea. I think 1,000's a little bit low, especially as it pertains to my departments, because they have such high-ticket items. I'd be more comfortable around maybe the $2,500 mark instead of the $1,000 personally.
Okay?
Now, are you saying you wanna do that via ordinance? Because that puts a lot more sticking power to it.
Yeah, I mean, we can when in our next meeting, it's probably something we can put on the agenda again, and then we can come up with these hard numbers, but I wanted to have the discussion, and this is something that'll actually end up taking a month and 2 weeks to get done if we're gonna do it that way, because we're having discussion tonight. When Pat comes back, if we say, okay, this is what we wanna do, can you put it in the form of an ordinance? Then we have another 2 weeks, and then the following meeting is when it gets approved. So there's ample time here. It's not like this is being rushed.
No, I think what you're talking about is a really good idea. We've discussed this in the past. It becomes problematic, though, because if you look at our so when, are we scheduled to get our audit presented next meeting. Is that next meeting or is it? the meeting
It's
after?
coming close here, yeah.
Okay, so if you look inside that, they'll have the appropriations numbers, and they'll have the actual spend. So if you look at it, every single time, the departmental numbers are below what we appropriated. But if you look at the individual line items, you'll see quite often that certain ones will go above that. So that's part of the problem with doing a line item budget, because we talked about that. Keep in mind, the line item budget really handcuffs you guys. It's something that's gonna hold you more accountable to things like that. So I mean, it's a
No
good
problem
thing,
with that.
but it's a lot more problematic for how you manage your departments then, because that means if you go over your line item portion, you have to come back to the council to be able to move over that number.
Transparency.
Yeah. that brings it right up.
I don't know if it's really I mean, because you have the transparency at the end of the year. It just shows that you're over on certain items or something.
My understanding on a line item budget is that you can still go over a certain line item, but you have to take it from another line item. So you take that number as a whole. If you're over in equipment, you could take it from a different line item if you're under on that item. But it holds you more accountable
God bless
because
you.
it's a true number.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a made-up number where, hey, we're gonna give you $10,000 if you only spend $8,000 or else you're in trouble.
Keep in mind, the appropriations budget is similar to that now. Where it gets goofy is everything that falls under the general fund, because the general fund is the one that has the street department, all these other departments that fall into one. The ones that are separate by themselves, like the police, the water, the sewer, the electric, they're in their own separate funds. But so really what you're really talking about, the concern is the general fund at that point.
You know, we talked before, Jason, it might not be a bad idea about running line item budgets next to the appropriations, which, you know me, I'm a fan of the line item budget instead of the appropriations, so.
I would almost recommend that's what we wanna do, is come up with a line item budget, and then we run that parallel, like we talked about in the past, with our appropriations, and then that way, when that audit is over for that year, we go, okay, how bad would it be if we tried to hold ourselves accountable to a line item budget? Because I don't know if every department is gonna have a problem with that then.
I just know we got some big expenditures coming up, and I just wanna see it so that we're keeping an eye on it and doing the best we can, and there'll be something where, you know, maybe Commissioner McDermott or Commissioner Baldridge may have something going, and I may have something going, and it's healthy for us to sit down and talk about it and say, okay, this is what we need right now, can we do this, let's say, a month or two later? You know, I think those are the discussions that need to be had, so the less time we can spend on some of this other stuff, like agendas and attorneys and all this other stuff, then we can actually start getting business done.
I would agree.
Well, then that takes everybody's part, including yours, so.
Any other topics any questions on that topic at all? All right. In that case, number 20, public comments over any topic.
At 1.04 billion, I make a motion to spend $200 on Powerball tickets. The way we spend money around here, we might as well take a shot at it. And my other item is when I was going by Richard's place and taking a cruise around town, I noticed that there's a house, I think it's on Second Street, and you could not physically stand at the front of that house and walk through their lot. I've never seen anything so overgrown, and I want to know, how has that been allowed to happen? Because I take care of my yard, all my neighbors take care of their yard. How can we have this house in the middle of town that you couldn't even, the skinniest person in town couldn't walk through that lot? It's that overgrown. I mean, how has that happened?
We're aware of it, Drew, and trust me, it's taken a lot of effort by a number of people here, and we're working on it. Yeah, he's living there. He's 85 years old. He's living there.
And there's some legal issues there too, you know, we
The
We
last
wanna
few
go and
months,
remediate
it's
it,
started
but-
with an S, doesn't it?
at that, I'm not getting into that.
I do appreciate bringing that up, because it is a good point.
And if I did that, you guys would bomb me on it.
We have been doing a lot of code enforcement on a lot of things lately, and of course, that is probably one of the bigger concerns in the city. I will tell you that we have been engaged. There's a lot more legal stuff going on with that property than just a grass situation. And I will tell you that multiple commissioners are engaged in that situation, and there is action that's moving along with it. Okay. Next up is 21, Commissioner Reports. Commissioner Stefanelli.
So 2 weeks ago, we attended the Illinois Municipal League Conference. I want to thank the city clerk for coordinating everything and getting us all squared away with registration and all that. A lot of great information was presented there that I think all of us can help bring back to the community here. I wanted to propose something as far as what I thought. Council member for a day with the local schools, where maybe you have an honors student that, you know, they could come and, you know, they either have like the council member for a day, mayor for the day, that kind of thing, where they actually come and see what it is that we do in between our meetings. And the other thing I would propose to the group is ribbon cutting for new businesses. I think that's something that we should probably try and get back to. I think, you know, we definitely, all of us have an appreciation for business coming into town and somebody investing in our town. That's all I have.
Thank you much.
I don't have
Commissioner
anything
Udis.
to report, Mayor.
All right. Commissioner McDermott.
I'd like to thank the city for allowing me to go to the IML. I learned a lot there, and hopefully I can utilize it appropriately. Also, as another reminder, today, the hydrant flush started October 2nd, and it'll go through October 6th. Residents may experience low water pressure or a rust color in the water. You're suggested to run the water until the issue resolves, okay? Branch chipping will begin October 16th through the 20th. And we're looking at the leaf vac will start October 23rd through November 17th. Any questions, let me know.
Thank you much. Commissioner Baldridge.
I'd also like to thank the city for allowing us to go to that IML meeting. It was very informative, and a lot of good knowledge was taken away from that. I'd like to say that the electric department has been busy trimming trees and clearing obstructions from the higher voltage lines in an effort to prevent outages this winter. They are continuing to replace red tag poles throughout the city and making necessary transformer replacements. Our new hire has completed his first of 2 weeks of apprenticeship training, and we look forward to having him come back. Parks and Recreation has the online signups for winter recreation will go live tomorrow on the City of Oglesby's Facebook page and Parks and Recreation's Facebook page. There will also be forms that can be picked up at City Hall for signups. If anyone has any questions, contact the Parks Department at 815-883-8121. I'd also like to remind everyone about a fun little event for the second annual Scarecrow Contest from We Are Oglesby. Clubs, businesses, schools, individuals, families, organizations are all welcome to make up a funny little scarecrow or scary or whatever they want to do, and contact Angie at 815-202-6433 to get a poll and get your scarecrow put on there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, number 22, Mayor's Report. First thing I want to talk about is Harvest Fest. Harvest Fest is the 21st of October. From 11 to 5 will be the vendor show. 3 p.m. will be the costume parade for the kiddos. 3 to 5 is the kids' activity. It include petting zoo, pony rides, face painting, pumpkin craft, hot dogs, and the Hocus Hags will be performing. As Commissioner Baldridge said, We Are Oglesby will having a Scarecrow Contest again. That's the second annual year doing it. And then also same night, the Oglesby Bar Association will be putting on a zombie pub crawl from 5 to 10. The last thing I have is I put something together because from the IMO conference, I thought this was very interesting. I wanted to briefly touch on that I think can give some perspective of our community. I know that everyone can get bogged down a bit with what's just apparent to ourselves. For example, I know we might have disagreements here at a council level, or even a concern with costs or adequate funding for all the things we want to get done. These things are indeed important, but perspective is key. At the IMO conference the previous weekend, I had an opportunity to be in the room at the Mayor's Roundtable. This is where there are about 50 to 60 mayors in the room to talk about some of their biggest concerns in their cities to see what others did for solutions. The first mayor that spoke came from a city of about 3,400 that doesn't have their own police department. Instead, they use the county to cover their patrols and responses. They were having problems with people discharging weapons in the city, such as shooting assault rifles in the air near public parks, regularly. By the time the sheriff's office arrived on scene, the offenders are long gone. Then this process would just constantly repeat itself. When she said this, I was a little surprised, but thinking perhaps this is just an isolated to this one city. Then about 3 to 4 more mayors joined in on the conversation that had similar safety concerns in their respective cities. Then some cities went on to talk about their other issues such as rampant homelessness and the lack of housing facilities to deal with the problem, looting, break-ins, crumbling buildings from slumlords, etc. Point is, this was a bit of an eye-opener to hear some of these severe safety issues. Oddly enough, shortly after this meeting had ended, I was notified of a problem I was having back here in Oglesby. You see, my teenage son departed for Morris LP game about 5:30 p.m. About 5:45 p.m., I have a picture of someone that I don't recognize on my Ring doorbell holding my dog. They came back about 20 minutes later with the dog on a leash. We were able to have a talk to these Oglesby residents over the Ring doorbell technology. Apparently, in that short time frame, our dog had gotten out and they had spotted him next to the street and had stopped to intervene to help. So again, for perspective, there are many cities that are having what I consider to be some very severe safety issues. While here in Oglesby, we have people that will literally stop what they're doing, get out of their car, and take a much-needed helpful action to assist others. I wish I could tell you what allows for this. Is it our community policing that we do here in Oglesby, where our outstanding officers are very personable with our citizens? Is it our city's relaxed enforcement of codes, where we try to work with people first before going straight to fines? Is it the number and type of events we do in the city to try to engage with each other as much as we can? I can't say if there's one thing in particular that we do here in Oglesby that fosters such good people, but I can say we'll continue to work towards cost-saving measures and working through our political differences. But let's keep the kindness as a shining example of why small-town America is one of the greatest places to live. Thanks. That's all I got. We are looking to have an executive session tonight. And let me read the reason here. Executive session on collective negotiating matters or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. If nobody has anything else to add, I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Stefani.
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. And we do have one item that we are looking to possibly discuss and move with after the executive session. Thank you much.
Oh, thank you. It's funny. My wife said women are smart, that's why she did that.
So we're back on?
We're back.
I'd like to get a motion to go back into open session, please.
I'll make a motion that we go back into session.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Baldridge,
Aye.
Udis,
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 24, memorandum of understanding with FOP to increase police pay. Commissioner Udis, did you want to speak to this?
Yeah, let me get back on it. here.
Sure, take your time.
So down in closed session, we looked at a bunch of comparables from the area. We compared LaSalle, Mendota, Peru, Princeton, Marseilles, Ottawa, and LaSalle County. And we found out that we are on the low end of those comparables as we compare. So what we're gonna do in this MOU or MOA is increase residency from 16 miles to 50 miles. We're gonna condense the pay scales from 20 years to 6 years. And as a act of goodwill, good faith, on May 1st of '24, instead of a 3% increase, we're gonna give a 5% increase. And with that, we should be able to keep our officers and be certainly not by any means the highest paid or even close to the highest paid, but just towards the bottom end of these comparables where hopefully we can keep good officers.
I would say that's a pretty good assessment. I look at it as it kind of puts us more in the middle of the road to be comparable with a lot of these other communities surrounding us.
Close, yeah.
Any other discussion on it or anything like that?
No, I want to commend Commissioner Udis on this because I can tell you, working in public service right now as a fireman, it's hard to find people. And the one thing that I would like for the residents to try and understand is that, yeah, we do pay high taxes in Oglesby, but part of that is you're going to get a good, solid police department and a safe community. So, you know, I mean, for the sake of calling it for what it is, I mean, that's part of what your tax dollars pay for is to have good police officers, and I think it's up to us to facilitate that. And I think with the chief, we have somebody in place that's more than capable of developing these people for future leadership.
Excellent. Any other comments, questions, concerns? In that case, I think what we're looking for is a motion to send the memorandum of understanding with the FOP to increase police pay to the labor attorney, I believe, right, for review?
Yeah, that's correct. So I'll make a motion that we send this to the labor attorney for review, and then bring it back at the next meeting to hopefully approve.
I'll
Second?
second.
Roll call, please.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. And I'd like to thank Mr. Steele for joining us this evening. I appreciate you coming on short notice. I really appreciate that. Hopefully, we'll see Pat back soon, and hope he has a great rest of his vacation.
I think Pat Barry owes you dinner at minimum, if not a therapy session after all this.
Either that or we do.
All
Know what I'm
right,
saying?
I'll take a motion to adjourn, please.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call, please.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.